Hello to the void in which I cast all of my crap. So, as you can see, I have completely disassembled the mini retro gaming PC. Right when I pick my nose. Sorry about the stuffiness. But I moved the surprise Mac off to the side for now. And I have this beauty of compact engineering disassembled. This thing is, the more I work with it, the more impressed I am by it. The heatsink on this thing and the cable management is much better than it looks. Mostly because the cables are all where they're not supposed to be currently. Oh, it's just a... Okay, that's weird. It's just a resistor on the end of a thing. It must be a temperature sensor for the CPU or something. I don't know. Just put it roughly back where it was, I guess. Funky. Let me switch to the closer camera so you can kind of see this thing. Just a little, actually it looks like a ceramic cap on the end there. I'm not even sure what it's plugged into. Oh, the power, the heatsink here. Oh yeah, I bet you this is some kind of temperature sensor. So we'll go ahead and stick that back down near the CPU where it was before. But as you can see, the heatsink is this little aluminum thing, and there's heat pipes, several of them. Looks like 4 total that run up and into this little fan, which exhausts the air out the back. It's a pretty clever little system. I will give it that. It moves the heatsink off of the CPU, essentially, to the back of the case, giving more space for hard drive, CD drive, and the like. I have a perfectly good Windows 98 install already set up on the hard drive that was on here, but it was good and stable for my 6600 GS. The 5200, the FX 5200 Ultra, which luckily enough has the fast RAM in it, so it is actually a very quick little card. I was more than surprised when I got 60 FPS in Half-Life 2 in glide emulation mode. Struggles a little bit in DirectX, but I expected that. But in it looks the same roughly in glide emulation mode and looks absolutely amazing. All you have to do is install DigiVoodoo into the system folder and make sure to use the 3DFX Mini GL. Any game that has a native OpenGL mode simply will refuse to engage the DigiVoodoo wrapper. It'll just bypass it and go for OpenGL. I had that problem with Soldier of Fortune. I really wanted to run it in glide mode, but it just wasn't having it. So, oh well. Sorry, needed a drinky. But I've got a couple of interesting tasks that I'm going to do today. One of them is I stole this out of my server. Had it in my server to allow me to have multiple types of inputs, but I figure it'd be just as good for a retro computer, especially if I can get drivers for it. If not, I'm sure I can get universal mass storage drivers that will work just fine with it. But it's a combination floppy drive media card reader. So it's got the floppy interface. I was really disappointed to find out that the floppy is on the old school interface. This would be much more useful for modern computers if the floppy disk was also on the USB connector. But unfortunately, the floppy is a completely separate unit. it's basically a half-height floppy disk, likely a slimline designed for a laptop, with a media reader. It's kind of stuck on top of it. Actually, pretty effective, I will say. It works quite well. The floppy disk reads at full speed, and the media card readers work just fine. So what I'm going to do now is set the microphone down. What I need to do is find some way to mount it to my chest like this so I can wander around. Like this, just like strap it to me or something. But I love the little noise filter on it. The best part of this is a microphone from I think it's GarageBand or something. It actually sounds surprisingly good. It fits in this mic stand just fine. Run the cable out the back because the cable comes out the back. I just tuck it in there, and it works great. It's the best microphone I've got, as a matter of fact, and it fits in this cheapo microphone stand that came with a non-functional Chinese piece of crap microphone. I gave the microphone to my nephew. He uses it as a toy because that's all it's good for. It doesn't function otherwise. Okay, so I'm going to put the microphone down. It's going to be silent for a bit. The noise gate's on this, so there's no background noise for you guys to be annoyed by. This computer originally had a 300 gig hard drive in it. Using my typical trick, I was able to get the full 300 gig recognized by Windows 98. I've never run into any file corruption or anything. I have two retro gaming systems with a 250 and a 300 gig respectively, with Windows 98 2nd Edition running just great on them, so I don't know. I will admit that I format them in a non-standard way. But, basically I override the limitation for FAT32 file system size. But it seems to work just fine. And honestly, I don't know. But to be safe, I'm going to be swapping this 300 gig drive out. I'm going to just preserve this as it is because this is the best build of Windows 98 I've ever done. It's heavily customized. I also want to get it out of here so that I can extract the autoexec.bat and config.sys from it so that I can put them on my other retro PC and get my Audigy 2 working in DOS. That would be a wonderful thing. I just recently repaired my IDE to USB bridge. The power cables came disconnected from the Molex connector. A little bit of pulling and a little bit of recrimping and some careful needle nose plier work later, I have a fully functional unit that I got for $1. I love fixing things. This, by the way, is working pretty well. It's not 100% stable, although I'm putting that to this faulty cap. I need to get a replacement for it. I need to swap it out. It's a surface mount, which means it'll be really easy to get off safely. Really easy to get off safely. You can just twist these suckers off really easy. And I'm going to go ahead and get a ceramic or what's the other type? Some type of solid cap to replace it. Solid caps tend to be a little bit easier to mount as surface mounts. But I'll definitely be getting one that... oh, wait. No. This is a through hole. Oh, there's a surface mount pad here. You see, this is the cap right here, the one my thumb is touching. There is a surface mount pad. But if you look on the bottom, that's right there where my thumbnail is, where it's coming through. It's a through hole. So that'll be really easy to get off, and I can put a surface mount on, which I prefer surface mounts. They're easier to get off, a little harder to get on, but easier to get off, which I like, because you can just twist the suckers off. Speaking of twisting the suckers off, look at that. Look at that really bad joint there. The purple cap colored, the silver with purple ink cap on the right side of the screen there. I'll try to center it. Yeah, dead center there. Look at that solder joint. It's not centered, and it's barely in contact. I wonder if that could be part of my problem. I might drop a little extra solder on that. Honestly, it looks like this has been recapped. That would explain a lot. Because a lot of these caps are too new for this card. Yeah, I think this has been recapped. Huh, interesting. Needs one more. But the cap that's gone bad is the odd man out. All of the other caps are much more modern caps. So, yeah, I think this has been repaired already. Interesting. I prefer getting unrepaired things because I can't trust somebody else's work. I can barely trust my own. But anyways, it's been rather stable for a card with a bad cap after my little chip patch job. I mean, I don't understand how I got that so fast and so perfect. It's the dead center in the screen with the numbers below it. Then that group of three caps, three circuits right in the center, the lower one, the one on the bottom now. That one had come off. Oh wait, no, sorry. The one on the bottom now. That one had come off. And I managed to get it back on there in the right direction and everything. And solder joint's holding perfect. I love it when I manage to fix something correctly. So what I'm going to do right now, I've already got the little shield off here. Fortunately, it's easy to remember the orientation. The notches are the front. With this off, this is going to go in its place, like this. But first, I am going to take this drive, pop it in my enclosure, fire up my Mac, which I'll go ahead and we're going to get the enclosure plugged in, and this put in the enclosure, and we're going to image this drive. After that, we're going to pop this drive in the case here. I don't like that noise. Oh well, it's booting. That's good enough for me. Power supply goes out in this. I have like 30 spares. It really sounds like the power supply fan. The ball bearing has gone out. Yeah, I'm getting airflow from both the CPU cooler and the power supply cooler, so I'm going to call that good. You don't need the plastic, kitty. Stop it. Okay. So move this. Ignore that. It's just in the... I believe that's the power supply. And I need a USB cable. I have those. I have plenty of those. Alright, This'll do. Don't ask me how I managed to get the top and bottom of this thing reversed like this. I just did. Oh. Wait a darn minute. This is a 120 gigabyte drive. Alright, you're going back in storage, buddy boy. 120 is even closer to the 128. We'll go with this one. This is a Mac drive, so I'll need to image it anyways, so it doesn't really matter, I guess. A lot of people swear by DD for imaging. I prefer Apple's disk utility. It makes a perfect image every damn time, and it's so easy to use. I prefer Tiger and Leopard's. Well, I guess it goes up to Mavericks, that particular style of disk utility, but that's kind of clicky anyway, so probably best I don't use it. But yeah, this is running Tiger, which is good enough in my opinion. It still runs Classic, which is important on this particular one. It's my kind of my workhorse, actually. I use this almost as much as I use my PC these days. My poor G5 just sits unused in the corner over there. That's a big-ass rubber band. Since the hard drive has its own external power supply, well, you know what? That's a USB 1.1 hub. I'm just going to plug it into the hub on the back of the monitor. Much better. That'll be full USB 2 speeds. Interestingly enough, this has a header for a FireWire. One of these days I might get around to seeing if I can put the FireWire plug on it and see if it functions. Big truck outside just slammed on its brakes, and I thought that the whining noise was coming from this for a moment. There it is. Mac OS has detected the drive. Not the best angle, but it's better than it was. If you would like better screen captures, send me a couple $100 and I can buy myself an HDMI capture device. I have everything I need to convert DVI into HDMI, so I could easily plug this and various other machines of mine into a capture device and give you crisp, clean, direct from the system video. For now, I do this for free, and until I find one of those for basically free, you're just going to have to deal with funky angles. Now to image the drive. Monitor's a little cold, so the refresh rate is lower than it should be. So, applications. Utilities. Disk utility. Now you want to image the drive, not the partition. That's important. Now, let's see if we've got enough hard drive space real quick. Oh. Yeah, I'd say we have enough space. Okay. So, we're going to go ahead and save it. I'll save it in my documents. Compressed. Shouldn't take too long. As far as I remember, there's only about 1 gigabyte of data on here. Just a Windows Mac OS 9 install. Focus, you booger. It really does not like to focus on the screen for some reason. Seriously, the screen looks much better than this would imply. Oh, look at that. We've already got a bit of a bar there. Shouldn't take too long for this to happen. I really like this enclosure. The light goes all along the top side there, and all along this side, and even the front. It's got LEDs all across it, and the sheer length of the cable causes a little bit of lag between when the LEDs light up, which gives this really cool strobing effect. I like it. It's just a cool little enclosure. Something I totally would have used full time back in the day, although these days not so much. And as you can see, my system for streaming has been greatly streamlined, although the cable situation hasn't gotten any better. My microphone, I just hang over that, and all this stuff can be taken down at a moment's notice if we need to open the garage door, so it's not like we're restricting that function. These are just clipped on, and they just drop here. These unplug, flip over. That unplugs, flip over, and then the garage door can open. It's unobstructed otherwise. Well, except that one, I forget. That one has to come down too. But yeah, we still have full function of the garage door. It's nice. This might actually take a while. Poopy. There's only 1 gigabyte of data on the drive. Why is it taking so long? Well, it is an IDE drive. It should be USB 2. Yeah, definitely an Apple drive. See the Apple partition map there? I'm pretty sure that this came out of this system right here. I had originally set it up as my main little Mac system because this takes a maximum of 128 gigabytes. It's got a 120 gig drive in it now, but this was originally going to be for sale, so I pulled this one out and put an Apple branded 20 gig drive, which actually would have been pretty close to what would have come in one of these if you had a BTO higher end model. Because Apple branded, I actually have it over in the pile over there somewhere. Oh boy. Yeah, this is going to take a while. And unfortunately, with the kitty cat living out here, I have to watch it the whole time. But you guys shouldn't have to suffer through that, so I'm not going to stream this entire process. I may come back onto the stream if I find something else interesting to do out here, but I'm probably just going to fire up my web browser on my computer here, connect to my Jellyfin server, and stream some movies. Boy. Well, the good news is once this is imaged, I'll be able to reformat this as a FAT32 partition. This is what I mean by non-standard format. This little sucker does not care about the specifications because it's not an Apple drive. It doesn't give a flying fook, so it will happily format a 300, 400, 1 terabyte drive as FAT32. And because of that, for some reason, Windows 98 can then detect the full amount. It just doesn't care. It's hilarious. Anywho, I think that's enough for now. I'll pop back on streaming when this is a little closer to being done.